Okay, hello. Today I wanted, as the title suggests, I'm going to talk about calming the F down. Just finding moments of calm in your day because things are. I cannot believe it is December 1st tomorrow. It is snowing outside. Winter is officially here. I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is. Hi, everyone. I can see all the messages coming through. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. So as usual, what I'll do first is go through like the content. So I want to give you 5 different tips for calming the F down. And then I will go through comments and questions and stuff at the end. So thank you all for being here. I also have an announcement at the end. Although if you got my email this morning, if you're on my 1 Minute Monday email list, you will have already received that. Let me just move things around here for a second. Sorry, my internet is going really slow. I'm trying to fix it. And then I'll dive in. Okay, here we go. We're back in business. Right. First musty notes here again. Written on the back of one of Scout school papers. Of course, we like to recycle here. I think the first 3 of these tips are probably the ones that have had the biggest impact on my life when it comes to just finding some peace in my days. So I'll go through those 3, and then the other 2 are still important. They would really help you to kind of round everything out. So the very first one is creating a space for yourself. For me, it is very difficult to have headspace when I don't have physical space, when things are cluttered, disorganized. It really helps me to have at least one area in the home where I can go and just know that that is my little nook. That is my space to sit and chill and read and journal and all of those fun things. So create a little space for yourself. It does not have to be a big space. It does not have to be a fancy space, but just one armchair that is yours, and you put like a blanket there and a cushion and whatever else, whatever will make it yours, whatever just kind of marks that out as your spot. So I feel that that one is really, really important to, I guess, kind of physically creating the headspace that you want, giving yourself that space. So that's the first one. That's really important. It could be a reading nook. It could be a crafting nook, whatever you love to do. Make space for that in your home. And then you can always retire to that space. But it's that one space in your home where you feel like you can relax. The second one then is to ask yourself, this is something that I do quite a lot, particularly because I work online. And, sometimes I get not so nice comments and stuff. Did I freeze on YouTube? Have I frozen? I think I'm back. Working online, sometimes I get negative comments and things like that, and I can let those affect me personally. So a great question that I ask myself is, will this still matter in 6 months, 12 months, whatever time frame you feel is appropriate for you? But will this still matter? Like, is this really going to have any impact on my life in the grand scheme of things? And another kind of, sometimes when I get a negative comment, a question that I'll ask myself is, am I really going to let this, like, not destroy my day, but am I really going to let this have a negative impact on my day? Am I really going to let this bring me down for the day? The answer to me is usually no, I'm not going to do that. But it really helps to give some perspective when you realize, in the grand scheme of things, is this really important? Is it significant? Generally, the answer is no. So for me, asking that question and just being conscious and stopping for a moment, because I have a tendency to just let my head run away with me. I get into this negative thought spiral. And I call them thought tornadoes, where I let them completely take over and ruin my day, and it just gets worse and worse. And then I think of, every negative comment I've ever received, and anytime anyone has ever said anything hurtful or done anything hurtful, and yeah, it can completely overtake me. So now I try and stop. Doesn't always work, but I have to say I've been surprised by how effective it has been, just stopping and saying, am I going to let this ruin my day? Is this going to matter to me in 6 months' time? Does this matter in the grand scheme of things? And like I said, to me, the answer generally is no. Um, so that's a good one. That's a really good question to ask. Will this still matter in X amount of time, or am I really going to let this overtake my day, ruin my day, overtake my thoughts, things like that? The third one then, this is something I have been diligently working towards for the past few years, and it has made a huge impact. And I think I don't even often realize how much of an impact it's had until I hear other people complaining about this problem, and I realize I don't have that problem. And that is deleting drama from your life, particularly on social media. This is something that I have been, like I said, working towards for the past few years, just slowly whittling down the amount of people I'm following, the accounts that I'm following. Not necessarily unfollowing everyone, but maybe like just muting certain people, certain accounts. That has really made a big difference. I find on a fairly frequent basis that I will hop into, say my Insta stories, and there will be somebody there complaining about all the drama that's in their feed. Or there will be multiple people referring to some drama of which I am blissfully unaware. So I think that's a really, just, again, you don't have to do it overnight. Like I said, I've been working on it over the years, but just slowly realizing what in your timeline is just causing drama, causing chaos, even if you're not directly involved in it. But being aware of it and having it kind of put in front of you on a regular basis can suck you in. I mean, I've been sucked into things in the past. And then all of a sudden, you're wound up about things and you get angry and annoyed and self righteous about things that really, again, in the grand scheme of things, don't affect you. So yeah, this is the one, like I said, that I notice the most when other people in my timeline start talking about it, and I am blissfully unaware of what is happening. So be very conscious of who you surround yourself with, both kind of in your normal day-to-day life, but also in your timeline, in your feed, and slowly over time start whittling out all of the accounts that you notice are just draining you, like people who never seem to be happy about anything. And of course, there's always, we always, there will always be times when we will complain and we will vent and stuff like that. That's perfectly normal. But if you find that there is one particular person or one particular account that is not making you feel great about yourself, or just not making you feel great in general, it doesn't have to be out and out drama, but it could be, maybe you look at an account and you wish that you had that person's lifestyle, or that person's budget, or whatever it may be. So deleting all of that drama and negativity from your life, from your timeline. Again, it can be a process, but that has had a huge impact on my life, and it's helped me to live a much more calm, peaceful, and, like I said, blissfully unaware life. The fourth one then is to schedule time. Actually schedule, now that you've created your little nook, schedule time to spend there. It's too easy. I talk about this quite frequently. It's too easy to live this leftover life where you think, yeah, I'll read, or I'll work on that project, or I will just, sit, whatever, when everything else is done. When I just get these things done, when the house is clean, when whatever, and that just never happens. It just doesn't. So actually scheduling in the time, not just waiting for time to appear, because it doesn't. You have to make that time. Schedule the time, keep it like an appointment with yourself, the same way you would keep an appointment with your doctor, your dentist, your friend. And I talk about this actually in Thursday's video. So Thursday's video is all about how to carve out more time for yourself. And this is a concept that I talk about. I talk a lot about, prioritizing and how to cut certain things out of your schedule. But a big one is actually scheduling that time for yourself. Because if you're waiting for it to just magically appear, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So schedule it. Don't be afraid to actually put in your calendar, in your diary, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. or whatever. I am going to be sitting down and reading, or I am going to be sitting down and crafting. I'm going to be knitting. I'm going to work on this crochet project I have, or I'm going to be working on this memory book. Hit the table. Whatever it is, just schedule that time for yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. And then the last thing, and then I'll come back to comments and questions. The last thing then is to try not to multitask, particularly around meal times. I am terrible at this, and I try all the time, to get better. And sometimes I do really well at it, and then other times I fall down on it. But it's about, if you're eating a meal, just sit and eat. You don't have to be scrolling through your phone. You don't have to be watching something. I find even now sometimes when I'm brushing my teeth, sometimes I'll just pick up my phone and scroll through it. Or if I'm doing something like just stirring something on the stove, that impulse is there to take out my phone and just scroll through it. I'm trying to just enjoy those moments. Yes, okay, there might be something urgent that I have to do. And then, if I can multitask while I'm kind of mindlessly doing something else, then great. But generally, just sit. Don't try to do all of the things. Notice when you feel that pull to do something else that really is completely unnecessary, and just try and sit and enjoy moments of peace and quiet, like eating a meal, whatever it may be. So yeah, those are my 5 tips for helping you calm the F down and just find more calm and more peace and more tranquility in your day. So I'll hop back through comments and questions, and as usual, feel free to drop them in. I will say, actually, okay, I'll do the announcement now, because I know people can't hang around for entire live streams because they're pretty long. The very first product I ever created for How to Gist, way back in the day, my first baby, my first digital baby, was my productivity power up course. It's one of the things I am most proud of in my life, particularly when it comes to my job, because I hadn't a clue what I was doing, but figured it all out and, created something that I'm really proud of and that I really love, but have not touched it in years, have not done anything with it. And I've decided now I am going to completely rebuild it from scratch. I'm starting over. It's getting a complete overhaul. And I'm going to be relaunching it next month, in a few weeks, in about 3 weeks' time. It is going to be relaunching. This is something that I have been kind of meaning to do for such a long time. And now that it's 2020, I'm like, you know what? I need this. People need this. I'm going to be talking about how to reclaim at least an hour of your day every day to focus on yourself, to focus on your hobbies, your passions, your pastimes, your mental health, self-care. I want to give you back an hour every day. Again, not living that leftover life, but really taking control of your time again and finding that space. I talk to so many women, men, everyone who comes into contact with me, anytime I get a message, generally the underlying issue is this kind of lack of time, wanting to spend more time doing something that you love and just not being able to find it. So I have redesigned, or I'm currently redesigning the whole course with the specific goal of helping you find at least 60 minutes in your day every single day to do what you love, to do whatever lights you up, whatever makes you happy, whatever brings you joy. The waitlist, I just opened the waitlist today. If you're on YouTube, the link is in the description below the video. You can like open it in a new tab or wait until the live stream is over, and then click it. On Instagram, it is linked in my bio. There's early bird pricing. You're going to get early access to the course. It's just going to be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful. I can't wait. I really love like making practical things that are actually going to help people. So this is what it's all geared around, finding this hour of time in your day, every day. Get asked all the time, how can you find time to read books, and how can you find time to do all of these other things? How can you find time to run a business and, raise a child and all of this other stuff? And so this is like everything I have learned, because if you know my story, you'll know that after my daughter was born, like I was just like away with the fairies. I hated everything. Had no time to myself. My mental health really, really suffered. So this is something that I am very passionate about, making the time. And I know that it's easier said than done. So I want to give you all the strategies that will make that happen. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I'm going to put my notes away now. I can't believe it's snowing. They told us it was going to be a mild winter. Mild and snow, do not, like how? Let me see. Let me move this out of the way. Sorry, Instagram, let me move you again. Oh, there we go. Okay, Rachel says, not the first time I've hopped on here to check out the countdown to live, because just now is when I remembered it's noon here on Mondays. That's okay, coming and checking was more fun. See you in 44 minutes. Hello. There was, for some reason, there were loads of like comments and questions on YouTube before I even hopped on. So thank you for all of those. Hi, Ellie. Good to see you again. Hi, Bianca. Hello, everyone. Dakota says, yeah, I didn't miss anything. Nope. Thank you for being a member. I really appreciate that. Jacqueline, thank you for being a member also. She says, I definitely need these tips. Job hunting is not helping my calm. It's just that, like I said, the course is something that I've kind of been meaning to update and redo for a long time. And now this year, I just like, this was the right time. I just feel like it's the right time. It just says, how do I get on the email list? You can, regular email list is howtojust.com/subscribe. And then actually it will all, you're on YouTube, so it'll all be linked in the description box below. Rather than me, you know what, I'll type it into the chat box here on YouTube. And then that's easy access for you. And you can just open it in a new tab if you're on a laptop. I don't know why my laptop is running really slowly today. Sorry if it's been cutting in and out. I keep seeing myself freezing on the screen. It's very disconcerting. It's kind of like if you were looking in a mirror and you were kind of moving around and then all of a sudden like the image just stops and you're still going and you're like, ooh. I don't know why, but it's so strange. Hello, everyone. Aliona says, hi from Donegal. Hello. Jenny, when he says, that's such a healthy mindset, it's important to be mindful of what others' valid critiques may be, but outright non-constructive negativity is just so sour to focus on. Absolutely. Yes, I do get some constructive feedback, and that's great, and I always welcome that. But then there are some people who just, they're having a bad day, they need to vent or whatever, they've got something going on. And I know myself how easy it is when you're anonymous online. It's very easy to be a little bit extra snarky or, because you don't think of the person on the other side. I feel that pull myself. I watch somebody's YouTube video and sometimes I feel this kind of like, oh, why would you do that? Or, and it would be so easy to just type that out without thinking. So I definitely understand. But for me, it can have a negative effect on me the same way I know it can have a negative effect on others. That's why I don't leave those types of comments. Even though sometimes, because I'm human, I might be thinking these things. So yeah, it can be hard, and I'm definitely on the much more sensitive side. So I've had days where it has completely, and sometimes it's not even just getting down about it. Sometimes it's getting angry about something. As soon as anyone questions my parenting, like, I'm out for your blood. Sorry. I cannot abide that, judging someone's parenting. No, but things like that, I can kind of just let myself get really angry, and then think about all these other things that also make me angry. And then I'm furious. And then I end up, maybe taking it out on my husband or my daughter just by kind of snapping at them, or, it becomes this horrible, vicious cycle. And then, somebody might leave a comment that's kind of a little bit ambiguous, and I start to like assume the worst, and, get really like passive aggressive or something. So yeah, I really try now and ask myself, will this still matter in 6 months? Am I really going to let this, ruin the next 2 or 3 days of my life? Because that's what sometimes it can do. Yeah. I feel kind of silly saying it out loud, but yeah, sometimes it can just totally derail me for no particular reason. Richard says my husband is my form of negative comments. His react, blah, blah, blah. Sorry. So I don't mean blah, blah, blah. Sorry, but this swearing, and I'm trying not to swear as much online these days. Bad moods, lost stuff, his reactions, and it ruins my day all the time. That goes from ruining my day to ruining things long term. Absolutely. Anytime my husband does the slightest, smallest thing, I'm like, that's it, we're getting divorced. Because it just becomes, I can let these things in my head fester. And the tiniest little thing, I can see it as a slight, and then like a lack of respect. And, it becomes a symbol of our relationship as a whole. I love him really. But, sometimes it's something small. And it can be just like a cumulative effect as well. Tiny little things have happened, and they've all just built up over time. And then somebody does something or says something, or something happens that's, in the grand scheme of things, minor, but it can be a build up. So really taking that time to kind of build your wall, not like a wall of emotion or anything. I mean, like, just put up a boundary and say, no, I'm not going to let this ruin my relationship with this person. I'm not going to let it ruin my day, my mental health. But yeah, it's I know easier said than done very often. But if you can, try and remember that. Just stop and kind of bring it back to rational thought, I guess. Because yeah, I can get completely irrational. I can go from like naught to irrational in like 0.2 seconds. Jerry Bunny says that's precisely why I don't watch the news. Also why I do not watch the news. I can't handle it. I would just be like a ball of stress and depression every day. Helen says, yes, or simple logic helps most of the time. It really does. And like I said, sometimes it's easier said than done. But taking that time to kind of just step back and say, okay, big picture here. What's going on. Ellie says that's the reason why I deleted Instagram and TikTok apps, and I don't use Facebook except for Messenger. Yeah, I deleted Facebook and Twitter earlier this year. Do not regret it in the slightest. Really started evaluating everything I was seeing in my feed. And it's not that I don't, still care about people that I follow. A lot of my friends and family are on there, but they're people I keep in contact through phone calls and text messages. I don't need to see stuff in my feed every single day. So yeah, and once I realized that, once I kind of started evaluating everything that was in my timeline, I realized that my life would not be any worse off if I did not know this information. So yeah, let me see. Elise also says it's been years since I last watched news. Same. And also I reinstalled Instagram recently and instantly started feeling worse. Yeah, so I realized it and deleted it again. Yeah, I think sometimes that's a really great point, Ellie. Sometimes you don't realize the effect that something is having on you until it's not there anymore. And that can work in both ways. You know, sometimes you don't realize how much you want something or how much of a priority something is until it's not there. But it also works the other way around. Sometimes you don't realize, this is something I find particularly with my diet. I never realize, and I don't mean diet as in like losing weight diet, I just mean like the types of stuff I eat. But I notice on a day-to-day basis, I don't feel bad, but I do notice the times that I make a conscious effort to eat a lot healthier, I feel a lot better. And then I realize, oh, I must have been actually feeling crap before, because if this is what, you know, normal, good, healthy, clean living feels like, then my body was struggling before. So yeah, that's a really great point, Ellie. Rachel says, I look at accounts that have 8 kids and I'm jealous of that. I haven't been able to have more kids for 9 years. I think in every situation, there's always going to be that, you know, grass is greener effect. You know, I have one kid and the second she was born, I knew I was never going to have another child. I have never desired another child since. But there are sometimes still when I see, you know, other people with small newborn babies and they're all so cute. I'm like, oh. We have neighbors, they're 2 little kids, and you know, they have this one little dynamic between them. I'm like, oh, if Scout had a little brother or sister, you know, she'd be a really good big sister. But yeah, knowing deep down that I do not want another child. I mean, I guess never say never. I'm still reasonably young, might change my mind. But yeah, there are just pros and cons to absolutely everything. Everything. It's a really, like, I often wonder, you know, it's easy for me to say I don't want another child, but if I found out tomorrow that I actually couldn't have another child, like, would that change things? I don't think it would, but until you're in that situation, who knows? You just don't know. Let me see. Katrina says, love this YouTube. Oh, thank you. Helen, one forgets to taste the food while eating. Yeah, I do. Sometimes I just like gobble things down. I don't even realize how fast I'm eating something until afterwards. And I'm like, ooh, because maybe I've been watching a video and it's kind of like upbeat or something and you're just, it's crazy the effect it can have on you. Let me see, let me get some questions from Instagram. Donna says, I'm always trying to find time for myself to sit and paint, especially for Christmas projects. I always feel guilty for taking time for me. Yeah, that is a big, big thing. There is this, when we take time for ourselves, sometimes we can feel very guilty. And then when we don't take time for ourselves and we're focusing on other people and other things, we start to feel resentful that they are taking away from our me time. It's a huge, like, it's this crazy, insane, irrational thing. And I think most of us feel that way. But I think, like everything else, it's just practice. Once you get used to spending more and more time focusing on yourself and realizing how much energy that then gives you for other things, it can help to kind of relieve those feelings. But I completely understand what you're saying. Smashing Bridges says, what if I would have time every day, but I'm way too tired then? Okay, there is a whole module in the course all about how to actually sustain energy levels and keep them as high as possible throughout the day, so that when you get to the end of the day and you do have that time, you're not too exhausted to do anything. So I've got you covered there, 100%. Because yeah, I know that feeling as well. You know, you get to the end of the day, expended your energy on everything else. And even though you might have a few minutes to yourself or an hour to yourself, what is the point of that? Unless you can actually enjoy that time. And then kind of as a follow-on comment from that, as a working mother, doing things in the early morning is not an option for me. Yeah. And I'm not an early morning person anyway. So I 100% hear you. Yeah, I get you. To me, it's like the time, I'm assuming that everyone is finding the time towards the end of the day, like in the evening and stuff. So yeah, I talk about how to manage your energy levels throughout the day so that when you do get that time, you can actually enjoy it and do something with it rather than just like completely crash. Jenny says, Laura, I do create a space, but it usually gets loaded with leftover clutter because it is a free space. Yeah, that's kind of a mental thing. Seeing it as a free space. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again just in case you haven't heard of it. Years ago, when we lived in Dublin, Sam and I shared an office in our home. So his desk was here, mine was here. There were two like IKEA desks that were basically just stuck side by side. And I didn't use that space very often because Sam was actually working, whereas I was taking care of Scout. So during the day, I was kind of down looking after her, and I would find myself working at the kitchen table, on the couch in the living room, stuff like that. And Sam's stuff slowly started to migrate over to my desk because to him, the desk was kind of unused for the most part. So he saw it as free space. No, I put a stop to that pretty quickly because, I was suffering from postnatal depression at the time. And even though I didn't often use the desk, the times that I did, it was really important to me. Even if I never used the desk, honestly, it was so important to me to have a space, to have that nook that was there that I knew I could retreat to, and I could do the work that was just for me. I could reclaim my independence. It was really, really important to me. So I told him straight. I was like, anything that ends up on my desk from now on, I will burn. I was like, if it crosses the line onto my desk, I will consider it mine and I will do with it what I please. But it was just one of those things. And he knew, like, he knew what I meant by it. It was just kind of like, this is where I draw the line. This is my space and I am keeping it this way. So Jenny, it kind of depends. Sometimes it's ourselves who kind of like sabotage our space. And again, that can sometimes be a mental thing where we might, as Donna was saying, we might feel guilty about having that space, or we might, we might not be making the time to use it. And then it feels like a waste of space. You have to be very clear on having that as your space. And again, it can be a really teeny tiny space. Like if you're trying to take over the dining table or something like that, you have to take practicalities into consideration as well. But having that space, making it clear to yourself and also to those around you that that is your space, and creating that boundary. I've made myself sound like a crazy person now, but that's what I did. It was so important to me that that was where I drew the line, and I had to kind of put my foot down. Bianca says, because I love every single video you've ever made on goal setting, you're great at that. Oh, thank you. Andrew says, you don't find the time, you have to make the time. Exactly. Rachel says, did you take psychology courses? You seemed so informed. No, it's just years of my own experience, trying different things, like going through depression, coming out the other side, kind of vowing never to be back in that situation again, and doing as much as I could, trying different strategies, doing a lot of research, reading things. It's a constant process. It's a constant process. Let me see. Alex says it's snowing. Wow, it is snowing. It's lovely to look out at. Looks lovely, but also the road slightly further down is closed for this week while they're doing like roadworks and stuff. So school bus and things now has to like drive around the block, and it's just not the best week for that. Let me see. Richard says, what has helped with my stress lately is finally laid everything out on the table, what my goals are, what my issues are, what I feel I need from my husband. I've commented before, my husband and I are on the verge of divorce, but I'm pretty optimistic after laying everything out emotionally. And that's all you can do. You get to a point, and I've kind of asked other people about this because, like I said, I often kind of joke with my husband, I'm going to divorce him, and that's the end. And I've asked people, how do you really know when that's it, when you have reached the end? And everyone I've spoken to, because I was a divorce lawyer, so I saw that on a very regular basis. And everyone I spoke to said, you just know. You just know, you reach a point and and I think from all the work I have done with people who are divorcing, it's obviously a very emotional time. It's obviously a very distressing and upsetting and mentally exhausting time. And it can be physically exhausting as well, particularly if you are going through the courts or if you're moving, stuff like that. But I have no personal experience of it, but from working with a lot of people who are in the middle of a divorce, I know that it's, again, so much easier said than done, but trying to remove as much emotion from it as possible, like accepting the situation. And I would be the exact same. I know I'd be the exact same. It's so easy to kind of, I don't know, like blame the other person or drag up past things or try and get other people to side with you or, things like that. And obviously, I don't know your situation at all. But every divorce lawyer that I have ever worked with, colleagues that I had, all of them said that if it came down to it for them, and it did for a lot of them, they would basically just hand over the keys and walk away, is essentially. And I'm not suggesting you do that, not at all, but I'm trying to get at the kind of the metaphorical aspect, I guess, which is just, again, drawing that line in the sand, creating that boundary and just saying, you know what, this is it. This is where I draw my line, and I have to look after me, my mental health, what's, good for me, what's good for my loved ones. So, but again, from personal experience, I can't offer any advice, but I can offer my sympathy. I have some understanding of how incredibly stressful it is. I have dealt with clients, obviously, who are extremely emotional, tears. I have dealt with clients who are incredibly angry and were in danger of being sent to prison because they just couldn't see a way forward, and just, I guess, in court didn't want to budge on anything, and just made things difficult. I think the reality is that you have to see a way forward, and you have to know that you will be okay, because you will be okay. Very stressful at the time, but yeah, sorry, I'm sure that's absolutely no help whatsoever. I'm so sorry. But I am glad to hear that you say that you're optimistic about after laying everything out emotionally. Focus on that. You've made your boundaries clear. You've made your feelings on the subject clear, and that's all you can do. Grandma says, hi Laura, this is my first live video of yours. Hello. Thank you for your comments and your email. I will respond to your email. My inbox at the moment, I know I say this all the time, but it's this week in particular has just been off the charts. I think particularly after last week's live stream, I got a lot of emails after last week's live stream. Sheila says, hi Laura, just signed up to your email for Christmas inspiration. The Christmas challenge is starting very soon after this live stream. Actually, the first email will be going out. And I'm really excited about it. Just a little bit of happiness and silliness and organization for the year. Has anyone else signed up for it? I look forward to it every year. Every year I'm kind of like, maybe I won't do it anymore because I don't know if people are really interested. But then like my inbox is flooded with messages. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I will. Jedi Bunny says, exactly, there's a serious lack of empathy when people feel shielded by anonymity. 100%. Like I said, I feel it myself. MB says, big hello from Belfast, Northern Ireland. Dull and misty here. Hello, I love the Belfast accent. Love it. Sheen Bean says, I need to do a mind dump. Mind dump. I'm overwhelmed. Yeah, I find myself in that situation regularly. That's actually one of the situations where I go back to paper. I'm a digital planner for the most part these days, but when I need to kind of just has to be pen and paper for me. I just can't. Digital is not. I can plan in digital, move things around, that's great. But when I need to just has to be paper. Andrew says, I miss Usenet before the spammer AOL and Google ruined it. Lots of civil and engaging conversations there. Yeah, I don't know if technology has kind of ruined us or if it has just made our kind of darker, not so nice sides that little bit more obvious. It's hard to know. Jacqueline says, my partner is generally better at being calm and the recent stress of the loss of our cat. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's really been impacting me, but I'm getting better at putting words to my emotions. Yeah, I'm not great at that either. And I've talked about that in a recent video. Sam is the laid back one in this house. And sometimes that's frustrating for me, but over the years, I have noticed that he has helped me be a little bit more laid back. Now, when I say laid back, I mean, I'm not laid back. But, you know, there's like, there are levels. You know, sometimes I can't understand how the man survived until I came along, but obviously he did. So yeah, it's he's the laid back one. It also helps when it comes to Scout because sometimes I just can't deal with it. I'm just like, nope. You know, if she's like pushing my buttons or something, and then Sam can just calmly step in, and he has like the patience of a saint, and he can like explain things to her over and over again. Whereas I just can't do that. So yeah, let me see. Rachel says, right, it becomes, do I want to live this way forever? But it's one bad thing out of 100 lovely days. Exactly. I think it's finding, you know, I don't want to say I've been in your situation. Obviously, I have not. I was in a previous relationship, though, where there was a point where I realized it had come to the end. But I actually loved the guy so much at the time that I kind of rationalized. I said, you know, I will stay in this relationship because his happiness means more to me than my own happiness. And that was, you know, at the time that made perfect sense to me. Looking back, obviously, you know, the power of hindsight. But yeah, it's sometimes you have to do what's best for you because you are the person that you have to spend the rest of your life with. You're the person that you talk to all the time. So yeah, it is, you have to, sometimes you just have to prioritize yourself. It's not selfish, you know, and we somehow have got into that mindset of it is selfish. And like Donna was saying, we feel guilty then. But there is absolutely no reason to feel guilty about prioritizing yourself as long as you're not like throwing everyone else under the bus completely in the process. But sometimes you do have to do that. But if it's kind of like a constant thing, have a word with yourself. but no, yeah, absolutely. You have to, sometimes you do have to like put up your boundaries, draw a line under something and say, you know what, this isn't working for me anymore, even if it's working for the other person. Like, sorry, but I have my own life to live. And Jacqueline says he's getting better at giving me some time to be upset and manage those emotions before he jumps to solve the problem. Does anyone, have you seen that film, White Men Can't Jump? There's a scene in a Woody Harrelson where his partner, she says that she's thirsty. And he says, oh, I'll go get you a glass of water. And she's like, no. I want you to say, like, I too understand what it feels like to be thirsty. And she's trying to make a point. And I said it to Sam once. I was like, yes, this is it. I don't want you to like solve my problem. I want you to just empathize and sit there and be there and support me. And from Sam's point of view, he's like, this whole scene is to emphasize how how crazy she is, and how irrational she is. I'm like, no, no. It's kind of, it's obviously an exaggerated, silly scene, but that's the one that always pops into my head. I don't want Sam to get me a glass of water. I want him to say, I too know what it feels like to be thirsty. Andrew says, I just follow specific groups on Facebook, never really look at my feed often. Yep. Choosing, like picking and choosing. You don't have to just like, stick your mouth to the hose and turn on the water full blast. You can pick and choose. Let me see. Rachel says, yes, grass is greener. Let me see. How are all these other people so perfect on Instagram and I'm drowning? Listen. Nope. I try and show, like, to me, I try and be very open and honest about a lot of things. But then there's, we still want to put our best foot forward. I walk that fine line all the time between trying to provide, information and videos and stuff that are helpful and practical and that are also kind of aspirational. And it's very hard to keep things authentic, the buzzword of the day, while also wanting to give you something to strive towards. Like, I don't want to say I have this wonderful, marvelous life. Look at me, be more like me. But there has to be some element of this is what you could have. Like, you strive towards this. You can have a happier life, a better life, a more productive life, whatever kind of thing you're seeking. Let me see. Smashing Bridges says, tell us more about the new course. Is it a lifetime one, like a decluttering course? How many modules are there? It is a lifetime course, like the decluttering one. Some people have already like joined it. They signed up years ago, and you will, if you're already a student of the course, you are getting the upgrade completely for free, part of your lifetime membership. When you bought it, you bought into the whole lifetime thing. So yes, completely lifetime. How many modules are there? Currently, there are 16. I am considering possibly merging 2 into 1. Not sure yet. Still working on it. Currently 16. That's what I'll say. And like I said, one of them is all about managing your energy levels. Jacqueline says, honestly, I love these live streams, Laura. Oh, chat jumped. It's like sitting down and having a chat with a friend. I feel the same. I was not, when I woke up this morning, I was not happy. It was snowing. On YouTube, I had a video that kind of took off. And with it, like, all my views and subscribers and stuff for the last few weeks have been on a huge upturn, which has been great. But now everything is kind of like coming back to normal. And from my perspective, it looks like everything is tanking. It's not, it's just kind of evening out. I've had the little spike and now it's kind of just coming back down to normal levels. But to me, it's like, everything's tanking. My YouTube channel is dying. So yeah, that's kind of what I woke up to. I woke up expecting to see X number of subscribers and it was not that. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. So yeah, but then I hop on here and I knew because I already had the live stream scheduled. I was like, once I hop on the live stream, it'll all be gravy. Ned says, my cats forced me to be a morning person. Miss my cat. Sam's terribly allergic. Andrew says, I thought it was just my cat. Let me see. Marissa Daniela says, I just cried while the washer wouldn't turn on. I need to take the emotion out of these things. Listen. Yesterday I burst into tears in front of my husband. He was just like, what? We were just chatting normally. And then I said, do you love me? And I meant it in a kind of like just fun. We've been together for so long. So we're talking about, can't remember what we were talking about, but something that just kind of highlighted the fact that we've been together for a long time. And I was just kind of like, no, do you still love me, after all this time? And he was like, yeah. And then I burst into tears. Like, randomly out of the blue, because kind of the whole emotion of it just hit me randomly. Yeah, I don't. He picked up his stuff and left the room fairly shortly afterwards. Oh, goodness. Rachel says, sometimes we know, but we're stuck because of the property/house. He wouldn't leave, so I just called him on his blank. And if you can't do this for me, I am done and I need a lawyer to help me. Yeah, I can. And just those kind of like black and white things. Yeah. And I know like I'm kind of biased because I am/was a lawyer, but I think I think if you are going to court over something, get a lawyer. I've seen far too many people try to represent themselves, and just, as a lay person, when you don't know the court system, it's like anything. If you walked into kind of a strange environment, you wouldn't know what to do. Like, you started your first day on a new job, you wouldn't have a clue what to do. Like, you'd figure it out maybe as you went along, but yeah, I think lawyer was a good move. Jacqueline says, I'm signed up for the Christmas challenge. Yay! Michelle says, excited to see what the Christmas challenge is about. Yeah, first email is going out very, very soon. Okay, I'm going to hop off now in a few minutes. Every time I hop on, I'm just like, oh, I'll be here for like 15, 20 minutes. Thank you for all these hearts on Instagram. Yeah, I'll be here for 15, 20 minutes. And then an hour later, I'm like still talking. I'm sorry. Rachel says, I love when I watch your videos. I'm already doing some things you suggest. It makes me feel good about steps and actions I'm already taking. And you know what? Like, I'm not, oh, thank you for these hearts again. Yay. Like, my advice is not the be all end all either. I try and share stuff that has worked for me, stuff that I think will be very practical and helpful. But, there are some cases where something will just not work for someone. But I love hearing that stuff works for people. Because I'm like, yes. Doesn't it work so great? Because I have, it's something that's worked for me, and I'm so excited that it's worked for me. And then I get super excited when it also works for someone else. Because it's not a validation, but it's just nice to be like, yeah, we share something. Like, this is brilliant. Jedi says, one cannot pour from an empty glass. Yeah, you just have to be selfish with your time sometimes. Selfish with your time, your energy, your mental health. Diane says, I need to reduce stress associated with grieving my dad's passing recently. Is that something that falls within this discussion? I think anything, finding calm and peace. Grief is one of those things that just hits you randomly. You can think you're doing okay, and then the slightest little thing feels like a huge setback. I feel that all the time. I've lost various aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, and it's, sometimes you can go weeks, sometimes months, without even really thinking about it, and then all of a sudden something completely sets you off. Recently, for some reason, I've been singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow a lot, sing it to my plants, just sing it to myself. But that song always reminds me of my grandfather, and I don't know why recently I have just started singing it a lot. But yeah, it's weird, and sometimes I can sing it and be totally fine, then other times, like, I can't make it through the song, like blubbering. So grief is one of those things. I think finding the calm in your day and creating that space is so important, because it gives you that time then to actually sit and process certain things. If you're constantly busy and on the go, and sometimes it is good to kind of like distract yourself with something, but if that's a constant state, it can become very difficult then to process emotions. And then it can be, when something does hit you, it can be so much stronger, because you haven't built up the kind of the muscle of processing emotions. So absolutely finding that space, creating that space, scheduling time for yourself to look after yourself. So important. Jacqueline says, yeah, I was wondering that. I was thinking of reviewing it again. So I'll wait for the new updates. So yeah, the course, if you already bought the course, like any time in the last 5-ish years, I think 2015 I released it. Yeah, all your updates are free. Bianca says, I bet you'll hit 100,000 subbies exactly on New Year's Eve. I will not. I will not. It'll still be a few months before I hit the 100,000. But exciting. Something I've just, you know, when I started the channel, 100,000 was like, no. I remember when I got my first 100 views, and I was just totally like mind blown. I mean, like, what? So to be here now with, I don't know how many millions of views I have, and counting down to 100,000, it's just, it doesn't feel real at all. It's just a number. I can't picture or fathom that size of a number. Loads of people offering condolences to Diane. I love how you're all so lovely in the comments, and everyone just kind of supports each other and looks after each other. I love that. I love that about all of you. Jelly Bunny says, yes, I'm in the heart of grief right now. I lost my mother in May, grandma in August, and my dog last week. Yeah, I remember you saying that. Was it in the last live stream? It's just, and we have, like, I don't know if it's necessarily a saying. I know some people say, you know, that bad things come in threes. In Ireland, we kind of, that's definitely a thing. And I think, you know, when someone dies, we're waiting for the second bad thing to happen. But yeah, 3 losses in the space of just a few months is rough. That is rough. I'm so sorry. Again, just allowing yourself the space to feel it. Ellie, how are Scout and Sam doing? They're doing well. Scout was a little bit emotional yesterday, but just, you know, her friends were going to visit their aunt, like, you know, within their family bubble, and Scout kind of felt a little bit like, why can't we see our family? I'm like, well, our family live in Ireland, or like Sam's family live in Florida. We just can't travel that far. We'd have to fly to them. It's just not feasible right now. So that kind of hit her hard yesterday. But okay, we're doing okay overall. I think that's everything. Let me just go through the final comments on Instagram, and then I shall hop off. Andrea says, blame everything on 2020. Yep. This whole year has been emotional, says Kim. Yep. Take bits and bobs from everyone to help yourself. And also, grief never ends. You just get better at dealing with it. Yeah. And again, sometimes you feel like you're getting better, and then you feel like you've had this massive setback, and you know that you're just back at square one, and that's just the nature of it. And just says, grief is different for everyone. Allowing the feelings is important. My heart goes out to everyone. Yeah, you have given yourself that time to feel it, even though it's not a pleasant feeling. Not like wallowing in it, but giving yourself space to process and not like get through it. I don't think it's something you ever get through, but just allowing yourself the grace to feel and mourn. Kim says, definitely 3 losses. It's a thing in Australia. Smashing Bridget says, I've followed you on YouTube since the very beginning. Oh, it was such a pleasure to watch your journey, and still is. Learned so much. Love you for all your support, for all the support you gave without knowing. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Oh, Instagram was cut out. Instagram was cut out. And now my husband's texting me. Right, I've hit my time limit on Instagram, so I stopped recording. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. If you are interested in getting on the wait list for the course, it is linked in the description box below. Any questions, leave them in the comments. I will happily answer them, but I didn't want to start going into it all now. I'll be giving out more information as the weeks go on, but I didn't want it to completely take over this live stream. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it, and I really love how supportive and lovely you all are. And I will speak to you all, well, in Thursday. I have Thursday's video coming up all about how to carve out more time for yourself, and then next week's live stream as well, which I think is about how to, it's either about how to prioritize or how to like not feel quite so overwhelmed, one or the other. I can't remember, but those will be the next 2. Okay, bye everyone. Talk to you soon. And now my screen is completely frozen and I can't end the live stream. Oh no, here we are. Okay, bye. No, it's gone again. Why? Am I sure I want to end the live stream? Yes, I'm sure.